let's start with that actually. It is the final day of the Prostate United Challenge, isn't it, for you and the many other football employees who are taking part? How's it been?
God, my hamstrings are crying. Now, the last couple of days have been tough. I picked up an hamstring strain, but I managed to soldier through it and get a couple of runs in these last two. But 31 days doing 5Ks definitely took its toll. But for such a worthy cause, you know, it's been good. It's been good doing with a lot of members of my staff, and we've had some laughs and jokes while we've done it, and hopefully we've raised a few quid. We have raised a few quid for what's a great cause.
Is it a hark back to pre-season training of old? Who's suffering the most?
Probably me. I'm the eldest, so myself. But now that we've all had a right go at it, we've kept each other going. We've had the WhatsApp group putting our times and distances in there, making sure we're always over 5k. So it's all been checked over. There's no getting away with it, that's for sure. And nobody quit. Nobody didn't manage to do the 5k run challenge, which is great,
isn't it? So, as we look forward to Port Vale, a club obviously very close to your heart, what memories does this fixture maybe evoke then for you?
Yeah, listen, the fan base over there is a special fan base. I got on great with them. We had great times. Obviously, a Wembley win. It's a very passionate fan base club. Good people at the football club. It was an emotional time for myself personally as well, for what myself and my family went through as well. But listen, it's we're there to win the game though. That's they know me well enough to know and understand what I'm about. I went back there last season with my Cheltenham team, so it'd be nice for me to thank the supporters for the support I had once again while I was there. But then it's down to business.
Football is such a transit industry, people move on all the time, but are there still folk there that you know? Yeah,
there'll be one or two players. I get on really well with the manager, Darrell. He's a top guy. Had a tough start there, obviously with relegation, and a tough start to the season, but now they're kicking on and really finding the momentum. So the squad's changed a lot, but they're at the top of the division, unbeaten, I think, in 11 12 games now. So they've obviously got the rhythm, and it's pleasing to see them doing so well, but hopefully not at 3 o'clock Saturday.
No, definitely not. Well, as strange quirks would have it, he too is facing a former employer, isn't he, in that? We like to ask questions about stuff like that. How do you park previous associations when you're going up against them? You did it with, previously. How do you put all that to one side?
Listen, very easily, because I want to win. You always want to go back to your old clubs and thank the people at the club, thank the supporters, but we're there to be professional and win a game, and for me that drive's never going to stop. Whether I'm going back to Port Vale, Bristol Rovers, Cheltenham, wherever I'm going back to, who I've managed before, I want to win the game, and it's an opportunity in the FA Cup, which I think is a special cup competition, and we want to do well in it. So we'll be going to Port Vale looking to do that.
So what's Darren done to get them from slow starts to top of the league and flying?
Well, he's changed the whole squad around, obviously with relegation, very poor running from the back end of last season, changed the game. They've invested heavily into the squad, so there'll be an expectation there of going up, back straight away, and he managed to get a bit of rhythm, players settling in well, obviously, but it's a long old season, and we all know, and Darren knows this, is that medals aren't given out in October, November. It's a long season. They've had a decent, just over the first quarter of the season, so we're not expecting an easy game, that's for sure.
In the league, could the same perhaps be applied to Barnsley, starting to find a bit of rhythm?
Well, listen, we've done okay. We've done okay. I mentioned it last week that it wasn't like we was coming into a team that was flying. Six wins in 19 league games last season, two games won in the last 11 games last season. So it wasn't taking over, and a lot of people were sort of favouring that last season's squad was stronger than ours. We managed to get 6 wins in 13. Should have been more, if I'm honest. Few own results, disappointing draws, but we're on the right path, it seems. Certainly after last week's performances, but we also know we've got a long way to go, and we have to continue that hard work, intensity in our training that brings it out in match days.
You mentioned, the FA Cup being that great competition. Player, manager or fan, what are your kind of highlights of this competition?
Both, to be honest with you. I mean, as a family growing up, the FA Cup final was a family tradition where we get some sandwiches, some spread on, and we watched the FA Cup final, hoping that Man United were in it. But no, it was good. I love the FA Cup, and it's always a special competition for me. As a manager, when I was managing at Salisbury, only in my second year as a manager, we managed to get to the third round proper against Sheffield United away. What felt like winning about 25 bloody games to get there, by the way. I've had some good moments. I've also been a victim of some surprises as well. So I've seen both bites of the cherry, but it's certainly a good competition. It gives the underdogs a great opportunity to earn some money into the competition as well. The teams lower down the pyramid.
Isn't it just? Well, with regard to sort of match selection, how are you sort of thinking this weekend? Because kind of the easy question is it all change for Port Vale, or do you think, well, no, actually go a bit stronger than that?
We'll see. We'll see how we go. Listen, we've got rhythm, we've got one or two knocks in the camp, we've got one or two things we need to be precaution of. So we'll be competitive. We want to do well in the FA Cup. That's what we'll tell people, and we'll be ready and well prepared. We're preparing all this week for what's coming ahead. So we're not taking this lightly, and we want to get on the front foot and try and continue the good form.
Just finally, I mean, on the kind of narrative of the FA Cup, every year there's always something with someone that makes you go, that's pretty special. You cited a couple of examples there. The overall thing is, well, it's not what it used to be. Maybe it is. It's just you need to look a bit harder.
Yeah, listen, I think it's at the top elite Premier League level, shall we call it. I think there's more. They get more money by winning a Champions League game than they will ever get winning the FA Cup, and that's unfortunate because this club, this country is it's one of the most famous cup competitions in the world, the FA Cup. So it's certainly not belittled by lower league teams and teams down the pyramid, and certainly in non-league as well, which it creates a lot of money, which I've seen on the other side of the coin. So let's keep it special. Let's I think the more we big it up, rather than say, oh, it's not important anymore, when it certainly is for a hell of a lot of clubs.
Thanks, Darrell.
All right, Doug.
Yes, are you?
Good.
Adam Phillips, Sam Cosgrove, any updates on
Adam Phillips back in full training. Okay. Sam's getting there.
Okay, so that's good. Adam, is he one that's in contention for Saturday, or just see how it goes next couple of days?
See how it goes, Doug, but he's back in full training, which is great stuff.
Just wanted to ask you about Jackson Smith, who's come back from Grimsby, as far as I know. Is he is there a sort of three-way battle now for the goalkeeping spot, or do you see it more as...
Not at the minute, he's got a slight strain.
Right,
so he's come back with a slight injury that's hopefully going to keep him out for a couple of weeks, so we'll see. Done reasonably well on his loan. Got some games under his belt, so competition for number ones when he's back is healthy.
Yeah, so rather than another loan, you'll see how it goes here, kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, that was an emergency loan. We won't rule out something like that if it continued to games, and we'll revisit in January to see where we are in the goalie department. But as things stand, everyone's fighting for that number one jersey.
Okay, good stuff. And just on Port Vale, obviously, you mentioned about Darren Moore and how well they're doing. I mean, in terms of style of play and approach, what are you expecting from them?
Yeah, we do our own work. Obviously, we do on every team, so respectful of what they're about, but we also want to show and bring to the table what we're about, and that's been the key this week.
I know it was way before your time, but obviously the club had a difficult experience in the FA Cup last season with being kicked out. I mean, do you feel an extra motivation to sort of do well in the competition because of that?
No. I want to do well in the FA Cup, not what happened here last year. I want to do well in the FA Cup for the fans this season. I can't control what happened last year. I heard what happened. It was obviously a big error, big punishment for the club. But we want to do well in the FA Cup, and I want to do well in the FA Cup. So the focus will be this year, not last year.
You've obviously got a 2-week break from the league like you had a few weeks ago, but you feel like it's a bit of a different atmosphere from after Huddersfield when it was quite intense training and you had a lot to work on. I know you've still got bits to work on, but you feel like it's not quite as as much to do, kind of thing.
It's an atmosphere at football clubs are a hell of a lot better when you're winning games, so it should be, and performing well. But in general, the environment's been very good. Even we had that 2-3 week period. You know, the 2 home games, Wycombe, Stockport, and the game against Huddersfield, where I didn't think the performance was anywhere near what we're capable of. So we had to rectify that, work hard on the training pitch, and then obviously last week we had a good week. But the work continues. You have to keep going and keep working on things and improving. That's what I want my teams to always do for the course of the season, is to keep improving and not standing still. And I hate complacency, what I touched on last week.
And just lastly for me, the trophy game in midweek, did you see enough from the sort of fringe players to be pushing for, I know it was a strange sort of dead rubber kind of game, but did they do enough to sort of push for league action?
No, we didn't. Been disappointed. I mean, we've used the trophy this season. I think we've betted in 15 players, 21 and under. It's a competition that we'll continue to do that in. But you're always looking as a manager for something to catch your eye, something to push you into thinking. And I didn't think there was enough performances the other night to say, well, you're ready to come straight into the team, and that's what you want to see. And I didn't see enough of that.
You mentioned there about wanting to do well for the fans in the FA Cup. Is there, obviously you want to do well for your own reasons as well, but is there an element with the Cup of a good run is like a reward for them, just like getting to Old Trafford in the League Cup was?
Yeah, definitely. I think players can look at that and look at the reward, but also financially, we see how much the owner invests into this football club. You know, the FA Cup's a route to bring some money into the football club. You know, we've done brilliant in the League Cup, getting Man United away and bringing some much needed revenue in the club. So the FA Cup's it's a healthy competition to get some finances into the club and potentially get further in the competition, brings more money. So we have our right to be able to do well for our supporters of the club always, but also for the owner and everybody else.
And it feels a bit wrong sometimes to talk about money with the FA Cup, but it is important. And given that they've scrapped route plays, is it important that they keep increasing the prize money and just add that extra importance to lower division sides?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, football's a business as well, isn't it? Bills have got to be paid, wages have got to be paid, and the manager always wants a healthy kitty as well in the January sales. So it's it all adds to it, and the more money we can create through gate receipts, merchandise, cup runs, is less money the owner has to put in. At the fans forum, it was mentioned of what it takes to run this football club and how much money he has to put in himself and the board. So it's not cheap, is it? So if we can help those situations by giving them a good cup run like we did in the League Cup and getting a good tie, that's the aim.
And when you have a week like this where you've made 11 changes for the trophy, how does training work? Is it almost like two squads working in parallel for the week?
Very much so. Tuesday was an opportunity to bed some more young lads in and to get some minutes into lads that needed the match minutes while the other boys were training very, very hard. It's the same's happened in all the ties we played in that trophy. I've been disappointed with the performances in the trophy, if I'm honest with you. Like I mentioned there before, you want to think two things to catch your eye and not a lot has, to be honest.
But I mean, do you think that will have taught them a valuable lesson in terms of just the standards they've got to hit this to play senior football? Well,
you'd like to think so, Stuart, wouldn't you? Because they'll learn the hard way if they don't, with myself, because that's why I harp onto the players. There's a certain standard I look at and what I think we should be hitting, and when we dip below those standards, the players are first to know. But there's only so many opportunities you can give to players. If they can't keep that consistency level, then maybe it's time for them to move on. We need to improve, and they need to make sure that they're hitting the standards on a regular basis.
And for all the players, is standards the big thing when you're the higher ranked team in an FA Cup tie? Always.
Standards should be every day, not just whether you're a higher ranked team. Every single day, every minute of their lives. This is what I say to my players: like, you're a pro footballer, reach your ceiling, and you do that by doing absolutely everything spot on, not talking the talk. A lot of football players I've managed over the years talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, and they quickly fall by the wayside with me. And players have to be, whether it's playing Port Vale, League 2 team, whoever you're playing, whether it's a trophy game, you have to be right at it for the standards of what I expect of this club. And like I said, if we're not reaching those standards. And now I've been in there for 3 months of competitive games. I've seen a lot of things, seen a lot of 21 games, seen the trophy games, and seen obviously the games, the league games and stuff. And I'm analysing all the time, analysing what I think we should need moving forward. Continued conversations with board, my lad and my boss to make sure that we keep strengthening and move on the deadwood when we need to.